Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Darrell Knoch wants us to master a healthy self-image. Why? Well, let's ask the author himself, Darrell Knoch. Darrell, thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Darrell, you started life off, wasn't really too easy, was it?
No, not that all of what I went through didn't give me some drive to want to achieve more, but I was born in a pretty rough part of town, literally grew up in the ghetto of Chicago, so, that was kind of the beginning, but I also had kind of another unfortunate situation, and at 1 year of age, my older sister literally, as I was starting to run out towards the road, she came running after me, and she tripped on the sidewalk and fell on me and literally crushed my face into the cement. We were on welfare, so being on welfare, you couldn't, there was no way to get my face and my nose fixed, so my mother just had to wipe my face clean, wash me up, and I grew up that way.
That's a tough start.
It is.
And if I remember from your book, you took a lot of kidding and, we'll say, kind of torture from classmates and children your age growing up because of that.
Well, as we've all heard plenty in the news today, young children, even middle-aged children, are not always as kind as they should be, and I experienced a variety of those things. Unfortunately, that helped me get into even further trouble because I got to the point where when they would joke with me about having a flat nose and a flat face, I would, so to speak, take a piece of them and I would say, don't you dare give me anything about that, my nose, unless you want to really get hammered over it.
So I guess you'd be what we would term a troublemaker.
I was a troublemaker.
And probably with some good reason, just to maybe summarize, I think you grew up with a missing dad, a poor self-image, if I recall, and really not a whole lot of drive seeing yourself improving your lot in life, just kind of a bit rambunctious, let's say. Is that a nice way of putting it?
It is. I did have those things that you just mentioned. My dad wasn't around much as I was growing up, and when he was around, he was very negative and fairly abusive. So that certainly didn't help my self-esteem to be told every time I turned around that I wasn't going to make anything of my life and that I was a rotten kid.
Yet, apparently, Dad and a few others were wrong. I think, again, if I recall the book, somewhere along the way, somebody gave you a book on the Beatles, was it?
It was. My next oldest brother, when I have to admit that when I graduated from high school, I had never read a book from cover to cover in my life. And my next oldest brother gave me a copy of a book on the Beatles. It was called The Beatles Complete. And growing up, my mother had me taking music lessons. I started playing the piano when I was 8 years old and a variety of other things. And so that book was such an exciting thing to me that I literally took that book and I read it from cover to cover when he gave it to me. And that was one of my initial starts of changing the way I thought about reading.
And it kind of, if I recall, got you into reading other books, moving on in life. And just to let our audience know, you've gone on to be part of, or actually being the founder of, president of, several very, very successful businesses. Is that also correct?
It is. I had the good fortune of having that spunk that you mentioned a little bit earlier, and that drive to make sure that I really did accomplish something in life. Maybe for lack of a better way to put it, I was going to show the world that no matter what I had for obstacles, I was going to overcome them, and I was going to become someone.
Now, one of the questions you ask, and again, you've gone through different businesses and all with great success, and you've grown the business, sold the business, made a nice sum of money, and then moved on to another business. So truly what we would call an entrepreneur. Is that a fair title for you?
It is. I love business. I have found that that's become a real passion for me, and I have started 5 companies over the course of the last 35 years, taking them national and international. The one company I took to 30 countries around the world was a software development company. And, I have had 5 totally different industries that I've been in, and I just soaked up every piece of information I could as I would get into a new subject and business, and I would learn everything I could learn and become an expert in that arena over the course of a year or two.
And Darrell, when we talked earlier today, I really put my foot in my mouth because I said, you're such a successful businessman. I know you didn't have time to really write this book. You used a ghostwriter. I said, because frankly, I enjoyed it. It's very well written and a very good book. And what did you tell me?
Well, I did write the book. I literally, I had bought a motorhome a couple of years ago because I had some unfortunate situations that had some people pass away on me, and it really shocked me, and I retired 3 years ago. And then I did some, so to speak, soul searching and reviving of my soul for a couple of years, and then I had driven that motorhome some around the countryside, been part of that reviving my soul, and I literally took that motorhome over to an RV park that had no internet access and no television reception, and I sat in that motorhome for 8 months, and I wrote this book.
And the book you're talking about, just in case someone didn't catch it at the beginning, it's called Mastering a Healthy Self-Image by our guest, Darrell Knoch, Knoch. And I will tell you, a very, very good book. I put my foot in my mouth, but only because I thought the book was so good, and an entrepreneur like Darrell wouldn't have enough time to be sitting around writing a book like this. An excellent point for anybody who may be listening to the show for the first time, wants to find out how to become more successful, they're ready to take that next step. And Darrell, where is the book available, and is there a website we should know about?
Well, the book is available on several places like Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, but it also is available on my website, which is called TrueWealthUniversity.com.
Very well titled, True Wealth University.
I have owned that website. That was one of the national companies that I had built years ago. I did a lot of business in the real estate industry in Chattanooga, Tennessee for a number of years, and because I had been so successful in the real estate business, I taught seminars on how to buy and rehab and resell properties, and so I always felt like, true wealth means more than just money. We all certainly need to have money in our pocket in order to buy groceries. The grocery store doesn't like us to come in with the story of, if I just had this or if I had just had this happen, that doesn't buy anything at the grocery store. So we have to have money. But I really learned the lesson because I did really, truly focus on money for so long that, you got to have a good, healthy mindset. And that's one of the things I talk about in the book a lot. And in order to really get someplace, you've got to change your mind.
And hopefully that's what your book is going to do for many of us. I know you've said in your book you loved motivational CDs so much that you literally listened to them to the point where